The solar system is a place in which the Earth resides. Our planet's orbit is in the habitable zone of our star, the Sun. Most stars have a habitable zone, which is a part of whatever star's gravitational reach, the whole zone in which it can cause planets and other objects to orbit around it, in which it is possible for said planets to host life, due to the conditions like surface temperature, the formation of an atmosphere to protect from the radiation and the cold of space, imposed in this habitable zone. This is C-Space, and today I'm going to talk about the Sun and the planets of our solar system. First off, let's talk about the Sun, our star. Without it, we wouldn't be here. The Sun is a yellow dwarf star. It has a surface temperature of around 15,000 degrees Celsius. Like most of the stars in our universe, it has a nuclear fusion core which uses a wide range of elements to maintain itself and produce heat, but mainly converting hydrogen into helium via the aforementioned nuclear fusion. The core of the Sun is approximately at an insanely high 15 million degrees Celsius, and it emits radiation and deadly gamma ray bursts, which, if they came in contact with the Earth, they would have catastrophic consequences on technological devices as well as, well, basically frying us all to death. As a quick little fact, the light it emits takes approximately 8 minutes to reach us over here on Earth. Next up, Mercury. Mercury is a really small rocky planet with no atmosphere and a bunch of craters absolutely everywhere. The most interesting thing that I can possibly say about this rather bland planet is that even though it is the closest planet to our Sun, you can freeze to death in it as well. This is because of its lack of an atmosphere mentioned before, which causes the side facing the other way from our star to be at freezing temperatures due to its absence of protection from the cold void of space on the other side, though it's a whole different story. You get burnt alive, as you would expect. Now I'm going to talk about what is, for me, one of the most interesting planets in the entire solar system. Venus is a rocky planet, just like Earth, and it is also placed around the habitable zone of our star. However, the conditions here wildly differ from those on Earth. The surface temperature varies between 400 to 500 degrees Celsius, and the planet is completely engulfed in clouds of sulfuric acid, which are extremely toxic. If you were somehow standing on its surface, you would get burnt alive and then crushed, because the density of the atmosphere is 93 times that of Earth's. For a planet that is theorized to have once been just like Earth, with oceans, a blue sky, and possibly hospitable for life, these conditions are extremely harsh but also rare. How did this happen? Well, scientists think that a very, very long time ago, once the dust had settled down in the solar system, Venus had Earth-like conditions, like I said. However, several catastrophic events, such as supervolcanoes erupting, amongst other happenings, caused the planet to get shrouded in these sulfuric acid clouds, causing a greenhouse effect of poisonous hot gases, which impeded the heat from inside the planet to exiting its atmosphere, heating it up. Next on the list, Earth. Home. The only planet in the known universe, at least as far as we know, capable of hosting life, coming in third in the line of planets in the solar system. Mars, the red planet, is indeed very, very red. This is due to oxidized iron inside of the rocks in its surface, which turns them reddish. It has a very thin atmosphere, and if we're talking seriously, even with its severe lack of oxygen on the surface, general lack of water, and overall pretty harsh and cold conditions, it is still a way better candidate to host life than Venus, especially if Mr. Elon Musk's plans of colonizing and terraforming the planet do end up working, and humans are able to populate Mars. Jupiter, one of the gas giants in our solar system, is the biggest one of them all. So big, in fact, that it is considered a failed star. This is due to the fact that, had it been slightly more massive, it would have been considered a brown dwarf star. Had that happened, the solar system would have been a binary star system, which would have completely changed the orbits of the other planets, and life would probably never have happened. This planet's most recognizable quality is that big oval shape it has nearing its equator, which in reality is a storm, that has been raging on for hundreds of years that will, according to calculations made thanks to data from probes and observations, vanish in about 300 years, after which another one will form yet again. Saturn, the second gas giant in line, and its ring continue to deliver some stunning images courtesy of NASA's space probes. The latter is formed by fragments from asteroids and, more speculatively, colliding moons from the planet due to their very messy early formation, which might have caused these collisions, and after what was left of it began orbiting the planet. It is theorized that after some million years, these rings will eventually vanish. Also, can we lightheartedly mention that this planet sounds like the second coming of Cthulhu? Coming in as the seventh planet and the third gas giant in the solar system, Uranus is a rather interesting planet. To put you into perspective, in its early formation, the Earth collided with another planet about its same size, called Theia. This knocked the Earth 27 degrees off its axis, which gave us what we know as seasons. In Uranus, no laughing, something quite similar happened, but many more times and with much larger objects and force. I know, I'm making it really hard, aren't I? As a planet is literally faced horizontally, as its poles are facing east and west, approximately 90 degrees off its axis. A fun fact about both Neptune, the eighth planet in line, and the fourth gas giant in the solar system is that, according to some studies, they contain hydrogen sulfide within their atmosphere. So, technically, if you were standing on its atmosphere, it would literally smell similarly to a fart. Sure wouldn't want to be there. On a side note, similarly to Jupiter, Neptune has a storm in its equator which looks like an eye, though due to its way bigger distance from the Sun, it is far colder. And finally, the planet but not so planet of Pluto, the farthest away from the Sun, which casually isn't a gas giant, breaking the trend. There really isn't much to say about Pluto. It's pretty much a frozen rock floating very slowly around the Sun, so small it's practically considered a moon or an asteroid. It is even smaller than our moon. And there it is, my analysis of all 9 planets of the solar system, including the Sun. This is my first real content posted on the channel, and what better way to kick off with our solar system. Really hope you enjoy this video. If you want, you can give me a follow over on Instagram at thespace_, and I will see you next time with some more space content. This has been the E-Space.